It's not human, doesn't have a soul, doesn't have taste. It's outputting what we put in. Now, it is scraping a lot of data, but there's a human component there. And I would absolutely say that for everyone, it's like, remember that. Because we have a conscience, we have a responsibility, we believe in things that are important, the values in which we live by, all those things. I'm talking about all human stuff. And the collaborative nature of those things. Those are the things that are super important as the baseline. And then, okay, knowing that, how do I sort of look at tools in a way that can help me extend the humanity, right? Because AI is really it's a humanity conversation, And it was funny because my 13-year-old, the 13-year-old, the Fortniter, he said, Mom, think about AI. It's like everyone's like so anti-AI or whatever. He's like, it's a human thing. I was like, who are you? You're like you're saying, you're preaching like really deep things, and I think that's the thing is that you get to a certain place, you sort of need to think about it. I think we have to still, as individuals, especially in the business, we need to be aware. We need to be aware.
Yeah. So this is the thing. We have QD3, Quincy Jones III, here in the audience today. Thank you for coming. And one of the things that he and I had a conversation about is this question about, when we talk about entertainment, what we're really talking about is culture.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's the commodity that's being exchanged is culture. It's joy, right? It's feeling and connection. That's what it is. And so if you think about the people who invest so heavily with their time and their creativity and their work to bring that to you, to connect you to the way they see the world, to share their art with you, share their culture with you, right? The last thing you want to have happen is that you are enriched personally and they are fleeced professionally, right? You don't want to see your favorite athlete or your favorite entertainer go broke. You don't want to see their work being used without them being compensated, right? At the same time, when we talk about how we train up a lot of these AI algorithms, we leverage past work. And one of the things you'll hear on stage is people talking about opt-in or stuff that's already in the public domain, et cetera, because there is this concern that, using stuff that is still copyright protected without people's consent results in what is essentially theft. And it's only one of the dimensions of kind of how we think about, from a societal perspective, how we make sure that the people who generate that creativity also benefit from what they generate, right? And so when I ask you about this kind of like, well, what is the next 2 to 5 years or whatever, part of me is also asking, well, what does it mean for the folks who are creators, right? Should they be, what are the things that they should be excited about, and what should they be keeping their eyes on?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the first slide, it's storytelling. We, as humans, we do storytelling really well, right? It's the storytelling. And that storytelling piece is exactly what you said. It's the connecting, like how am I connecting to human to human? So for any creators, it's like, if you don't have that base of that story, the storytelling, it doesn't matter. Like, it's just a tool, right? Like, I have an iPhone. Should I go shoot an iPhone movie, What is that? And we see that, I guess you could say, on different various platforms, which are engaging and people are trending and watching. But it's, again, I think we have to, and why I talk about the umbrella and why I talk about showing all these things is we have to look at it in a new way. It's like the Big Hero 6, like the Big Brother turns them upside down. It's like, look at it in a new way. And I think that was the other thing. I think we all have to sort of look at things in a new way.
All right, we're at time, so that's a perfect way to end it with one of my favorite movies, Big Hero 6. See it if you haven't. And we're going to keep the show going, but thank you so much for coming here today.
Thank you.
Today's next Innovator Spotlight is Nexus Management Group's Ceci Kurzman, who will be hosted by UCLA Anderson professor, Dr. Molly Kinberg. Please welcome Ceci Kurzman with Dr. Kinberg.
everyone. Welcome. I am so excited to welcome my friend Ceci Kurzman today, who has 20 years of incredible experience in music, who after years of working as in management and as an executive in music has pivoted to a lot of board work. I think you are on 9 different boards right now, spanning industries from beauty, music, entertainment. So I'm so glad for you to bring your vast perspective for a conversation about the music industry today. Thank you, Ceci.
Thank you, Molly. Thank you, Jay. Thank you, Anderson, for having me. This is really fun.
Amazing. So to get us started, it would be fantastic to hear a little bit about how you got your launch in the music business.
It wasn't really a launch as a sort of crawl, grovel and crawl into the music business. I guess it's safe to say that, in my mind, coming out of college, if I didn't go into the music business, I'd be homeless because I was that determined that this is my calling. And I have zero musical talent. I'm tone deaf, but I'm probably the biggest music nerd and music fan ever. And I thought if there's, any way that I can make my passion my profession, I'm going to do everything I can to do it.
Perfect, thank you. You've spoken so thoughtfully about creating second acts for talent. And even when they're at the heights of their career, you've thought about how to create value for them downstream. And you did this when you were managing Shakira, and you've done this for so many different talents. Could you tell us a little bit about this idea of second acts?
Yeah, well, we all know that a career as an entertainer is not necessarily at its peak for life. There's the Rolling Stones, but there are not a lot of others who are still doing it at that stage in their life. So, really trying to think about the artists at the peak of their influence, the time when they least want to think about the downswing, right? It's like talking to a college student about a 401k. Nobody wants to hear it. Nobody wants to know about it. It is not like, it'll take you out of your ninja zone if you even contemplate that there's the backstory to this. So, talking to artists, I would sort of frame it this way, right? This is buy your mama house money. This is plane and boat money. And if you want to be here in your end game, you have to start thinking beyond what I call the transactional behavior, right? It's you make money from singing, from dancing, from performing, from showing up. And none of that lasts a lifetime, and certainly not at its peak. So how do we take your influence while it's at its peak and leverage that into things that are going to be the gift that keeps on giving? The term making money while you sleep, creating that nest egg, creating generational wealth, being able to, sort of see into the future of what your needs are going to be. So that's really where the second act came from. Nobody wants to hear it. No artist wants to hear it. But at the time, if you can kind of sneak in a few ideas that give them those long-term annuities that are going to pay off down the road, they're thankful when you get there.
Like all industries, but the music industry has been in such a series of cycles, whether it's transitions to DVD, to CDs, or Napster's arrival in 1999. Can you comment a bit on that cycle and whether we're experiencing another point of inflection today?
I like that term inflection as opposed to upswing or downswing. Historically, the music business is run in roughly 10-year cycles, and inevitably when that disruption hits, it's seen as a sort of a valley. But the disruption has always been followed by an upswing that has been really, really strong point of innovation for the industry that leaves it stronger than it found it. So it's sort of cycles, but the cycles are sort of up and to the right. And you talk about Napster, which was a major inflection point. And if you think about it, at the time, there's sort of two tribes that we have in all industries when there's disruption. There's the tribe of what we call nostalgics. And at the time of Napster, I was at Sony, and we were very nostalgic. My boss at the time said something to the effect of, this internet thing's a fad, it will never last. And you know, it's a self-preservation that is natural, this idea that if we put our heads down and just keep doing what we're doing, it'll be a trend and it will pass. You know, at the time, and this is all dating me by the way, but at the time the two most important jobs in a record company were the head of distribution and the head of radio promotion. So the person who put the records in the store and the person who promoted songs to radio. Neither of those jobs exist today. And so that'll tell you a lot about, you know, how this industry moves. And I think when you talk about the tribes, you know, people still hire for the tribes of nostalgia because it's what we know. It's how we prevent our own obsolescence, how we sort of grab hold of what it is that we know, and we tend to see that reflection when we're building companies. And then you have the others who tend to be the winners, who say to themselves, you know what, we're going to keep doing what we're doing, but we're also going to build an escape hatch over here. And we recognize that that escape hatch and that parallel sort of shadow business could accelerate the decline of the business as we know it, but we know it's going there anyway, and we're going to prepare for that.